Welcome back for part two of what I plan to be a series through the entire Myst franchise. This is part two of Myst Masterpiece Edition, the remastered version of the original game released for PC in 1999. Last time we took a tour of the island, sort of got a feel for the place, got our bearings, and discovered the first age we could visit, the Mechanical Age, which we completed, and we retrieved the missing red and blue pages from Sirrus and Achenar's prison books in which they are trapped. One of them is a traitor who destroyed the work of their father, Atris, but we have yet to discover which one it is. We're going to move on to the next age in a moment, but I've come back here to the Mechanical Age because I wanted to talk about something. Last time, I kind of glossed over a detail of the Mechanical Age, and I wanted to go back and focus on it because it's a really cool example of the environmental storytelling that Myst does, that this game does really, really well. Sort of the way that it builds its world and tells its story in very subtle ways that you might miss. Certainly I missed the first time I played it when I was a kid. I didn't pick up on this, but it's actually really cool. So last time I showed you the journal that Atris wrote. Oh wait, there's no sound. There we go. Glad I noticed that. So last time I showed you the journal that Atris wrote about his visits to the Mechanical Age when he first linked to it. And he brought his sons with him, and the people there had been decimated by attacks from marauders in black ships. And they feared that the marauders would return, and when they did, they would wipe everybody out. So Atris, along with Sirrus and Achenar, built them this place, this fortress, this metal stronghold on the ruins of an old watchtower where the city once stood before the black ships came. And they built the fortress, and the black ships came back, and their attack was repelled, and everybody lived happily ever after. But what I forgot to mention, what I glossed over, though if you went back and watched the VOD and paused it to actually read the journal, you may have picked up on this. The small detail that I glossed over was that the survivors told Atris that before the marauders came, before the black ships came, the sky was always clear and bright and sunny. But the day the black ships came, the sky turned dark and stormy. And ever since that day, the sky had remained cloudy. And Atris mentions that is the one thing about this age that his sons don't like. They're very excited to be on this adventure with their father. Sirrus and Achenar are teenagers, I think, at this point. They're very excited to be on this adventure with their dad. They don't get to go to these places very often. But the one thing they don't like is that it's always gray and gross. They long for the clear blue sky back home in Myst. And so when the black ships come and they can't penetrate the fortress walls and they retreat, everybody celebrates, but Sirrus and Achenar are disappointed because the sky remains gray. And they were hoping that the clouds would recede, but the old man who lives among the survivors, who's this shamanistic type character, he tells them that the only way to bring back the blue skies would be if the marauders, the black ships, were killed, if they were wiped out. And Atrus tells his sons that something as trivial as a blue sky is not worth that. It isn't worth escalating the violence. It isn't worth risking their own lives. They should be happy with the victory they've achieved. They should be happy with making these people safe. And Atrus hopes that his sons hear the message. And soon after that, they leave. And Atrus says that, he'd like to come back here someday and see how things grow in this age. And now we know from coming here and seeing these rooms that Sirrus and Achenar did come back here. We see Achenar's throne room, and we see all of his weapons of war and his hunting trophies. And we see Sirrus's chamber and all of his spoils. And we see his vision of himself here as a lord of some sort, and we see his hidden chamber with all of its gold. So we know that they came back. And the other thing we can see is that outside, in the mechanical age, the skies are clear and blue. So at some point, after Atrus left this place, presumably never to return, Sirrus and Achenar did return, and they did seek out the black ships, and they were, all of them, wiped out to bring back the blue skies, which tells us something, I think, about this family. The way Atrus was satisfied simply with keeping people safe, knowing that the weapons of the Marauders could never penetrate the high-tech metal fortress he built for these people. But Sirrus and Achenar wanted their blue sky. And what Sirrus and Achenar wanted, Sirrus and Achenar got, even if it meant violence and killing. So, I forgot to mention that last time, and I wanted to draw attention to it because it's subtle, but it's the way Myst tells its stories. At least in this game, and we'll see it again in the second game. So let's head back to the hub world, good old Myst Island. And let's take a look at our map. So we know our places of protection from rotating the tower. We know about the gear. That's where we found the book to the Mechanical Age. We know that this line turns red, indicating a place of protection, where the big tree is guarded by a little brick enclosure. And we know there's a place of protection here in the spaceship. But we also know there's one in this boat that's sunken off the dock. So let's go over here. We found clues to what was going on in the Mechanical Age in a journal. So let's grab another journal. And this is Atrus's journal of his trip to a place that is known as Stoneship. And again, I'm not going to read this word for word. I'm just going to kind of give a summary. If you'd like to go back and read it, you can pause it on the various pages. But this age, much like the Mechanical Age, was basically just a few rocks sticking up out of the sea when Atrus arrived. This age had 3 boys living in it, living in a cave on the biggest rock. Very, lost boys. But this journal is clearly written from much earlier in Atrus's life and his work with the art of creating these books and visiting these places. Not only because he refers to the events in this journal in the Mechanical Age journal, but he also mentions being sort of inexperienced with the art. Here I was experimenting with the art, testing the limits of the rules as dictated to me by father. This is also the journal that establishes that Atreus learned how to do this from his father, and that his dad didn't really know everything there was to know about it. Those pieces of information will be important later. But Atreus tries an experiment in this age. He tries to alter it after he's already created it by giving the boys a boat. But we learn that changing a world after it's been created is risky. And when Atreus creates the boat, he ends up it ends up materializing split in half by one of the big rocks, and it is permanently stuck to it and completely immobile, which makes it useless as a boat. But the boys end up loving to play on it, and he can work on it, and so in the end, it ends up for the best, and Atreus learns a valuable lesson about not changing ages after they're created, which answers an unasked question that I had about the mechanical age, which is why did they spend all the time building a fortress if Atreus could just write one in from the book? Well, this is why, because that doesn't work all the time. So, after the incident with the boat, Atreus hangs out for a while. He notices there are interesting patterns in the stars. He notices those. And then he eventually begins to notice distant lights on the horizon, which he believes indicate there are other people living here, off in the distance. And so in order to try to communicate with those people in the distance, since his attempt to materialize a boat didn't work, he and the boys decide to build a lighthouse that they can use to signal whoever it is off on the horizon. And so they do. They build themselves a big old lighthouse. Atreus leaves, comes back from another age with all of the tools and materials they need. They take a month or so. They build this lighthouse. And sure enough, once it gets powered, once it gets electricity and they start flashing the light, people from the far-off place arrive. And they start to build a community with the boys, which very much pleases Atreus that he was able to have an effect on this age. Aside from just creating it into existence, he was able to meet the people and talk to them and change the course of their world. As you see here, there's his bird's eye sketch of the age. You see, this is the big rock that the boys were living in, and then the boat that materialized, split in two by the rock. And then to the end, Atreus describes leaving and then coming back a decade later and seeing that this thing he started has indeed blossomed into this seaside community, and they have their own little culture. They've got new foods, and they're finding things in the ocean, these fascinating materials. They've even found gold in many forms around the island. That probably won't be of interest to anybody Atreus knows. He also notes that in the intervening decade, the lighthouse sank 40 to 50 centimeters into the sea, even though they've tried their best to keep it up. And then he ends by wondering what it might be like to come back here again in, say, another 10 years. And we don't know how old these journals are, but my guess is this entry where he says, I wonder what it'll be like in another 10 years, I feel like was written about 15 years before now. I think it's been longer than 10 years, but not too much longer. I want to say 10 or 15 years since he's been back to Stoneship. And then at the end of the journal, we see the constellations that Atreus named and noticed while he was there. We see this anchor, an eye, a snake, the beetle, the cross, the arrow, the bird, and the humble leaf. And that is our journal. So, so we know where the place of protection is from the map. We know it's the boat, but now we need the access key. So for that, we're going to open the hidden passage and take a walk back to the tower. As I noted last time, these ages can be completed in any order. That's the non-linear aspect of the game. You can complete these ages in any order you wish. I'm doing them in the order I did when I was a kid, but the order I did them the first time I played this game when I was a kid, I should say. But I also feel like there is sort of an optimal path. I don't know, everybody's probably going to disagree on what that path is. But I think as far as the narrative goes, there's a better order to take things in. I think going mechanical, then Stoneship, then the other two ages tells the story a little bit better. So we see through the viewport. That's what we expected to see, the sunken ship. And the access key are dates and times. Now, I'm writing these down. So we've got October 11th, 1984 at 10:04 a.m. We have January 17th, 2017 at 5:46 a.m. and November 23rd, 9791 at 6:57 p.m. So that's our access key for the Stoneship Age. And if you watch the first video, you are probably ahead of me at this point. You may in fact have already guessed it from the journal. But there's only one place on the island where we've seen dates and times. Well, there's the clock. There's the big clock where we saw times, but there's only one place where we've seen any dates. And that would, of course, be the mini planetarium with our star viewer. And that, coupled with the constellations we saw in the journal, must be our clue. So we come in here. I left the lights off so we can see the star field. All right, so let's enter these in. We've got October 11th, 1984. At 10:04 in the morning. At, let's see here, 10:04 in the morning. And what constellation would that be? Well, we can see very clearly the shape there of the maple leaf. Next, we have January 17th, 2017. At 5:46 in the morning. Hmm. Let's see here. That'd be the Arrow, maybe? I don't remember actually which constellations these are. I'm gonna draw that. That'd be the Arrow. Okay. And then we have November 23rd, 9791. At 6:57 p.m. Constellation. I could take a screenshot instead of drawing it, but that's not old school. Back in the day, you had to draw these out in a notebook. All right. I'm stuck. Ah, there we go. Let's go back to the journal. Let's look at some constellations. Okay, so that, not it. Not it. Aha, our friend the Scarab Beetle. That is the third of our constellations. And sure enough, that's our Arrow. So we got the Arrow, the Leaf, and the Beetle. Now that we have these, the question is, what do we do with them? And that's simple enough. So as I showed you last time, there are these panels, little touchy noise panels on them out here. And the pictures on them match our constellations. So we just have to find the ones that match our keys and activate them. So there's our Arrow, not you, our Maple Leaf. Where was the Beetle? Here? There it is. So those are the right three, but I didn't do them in order. So let me turn them off. That was over here. All right. So first was the Maple Leaf. Maple Leaf. Arrow. Nope. Beetle. I must have gotten one of those wrong. Did I get the dates wrong? Maybe I did. Oh, yes I did. Whoops. That's 1207. Not 2017. So, as I said, this is the risk you take. Writing things down instead of taking screenshots. Or instead of cheating. Alright, so January 17th, 1207. At 5:46 a.m. I am 100% leaving in me messing up this puzzle when I post this to YouTube. It all stays in. Okay, and that's the snake. I can tell from the little loopy shape. Alright. You win this time, Myst Island. Okay, so one thing I understand the new version of Myst that they just released randomizes some of these puzzles. There it goes. So we won't be able to just memorize the answers anymore. Alright, so we heard something big and the rushing of water. And when we turn around, the boat has lifted out of the pool. Would the same be true, whoops, of its real-life counterpart? Indeed, you can see even from here. The ship has risen. Nice boat. And inside, we see another book. And through the view panel, we see the age that Achenar mapped out in his journal. The Stoneship Age. Alright, so a couple things of note. First, it looks like the lighthouse has sunk quite a bit further in the intervening years, where they've had to erect a new bridge here, or sort of keep the same plank bridge, but they've had to smash through a window to get in, now that the lighthouse itself has fallen down so far. You can see these power lines running to it. They're running all over the island. Yeah, we've got that section of the boat. Looks like it's taking on water. Over here, got... oh. Sounds like water being pumped out of somewhere. Lighthouse is flooded, obviously. We got a key on a chain. And here, the hatch that leads into the light of the lighthouse. I'm sure there's a technical name for that part of a lighthouse. I don't know what it is. And it's got a lock on it. But can't. Alright. So that's flooded. Let's go up these stairs. To the other half of the boat. You see where it was sheared directly into the rock. It looks like they've built a structure into the cave itself. Very dark. Much further I want to go down here in the dark. Let's go back up. It's wooden stairs. And a telescope. It's a telescope in the mechanical age as well. So the other thing I'll note from Atris's journal is that when he arrived here for the first time, it was sunny and clear, and the boys had never heard of rain. Shortly after Atris arrived, it stormed, and the boys had never encountered that before, and they were frightened by it until Atris explained what it was to them. And it rained a few more times during his visit. But when he left and came back 10 years later, they told him that in those 10 years it had never rained a single time. That the coming of storms to this place seemed tied to the presence of outsiders. And now the sky is gray. And there is no evidence of the people that were left. Oh, no. That's why I didn't want to come down here in the dark. Got turned around. Okay, that used to give me intense anxiety as a kid. Alright. Well. Alright, so there's nothing to do in there. That's flooded. The only buttons or switches we have to play with are these over here. So that definitely makes a noise. Okay, so we can only have one of these on at a time. So the middle one, we couldn't see what it did. Let's see what the first one does. And it pumps the water out of the boat. Alright. And now we're underwater. But it's dark. Now if we look here, there, you see there was a sketch in Atris's journal that looked like this. It was called the submersible lamp. So obviously that's a light source, but it's not on. Okay, let's head over here. Okay, so we can't tell what the middle one does. We know the one on the left pumps water out of the boat. Let's try the far right. Alright, water's back in there. But they've pumped the water out of the lighthouse. And down here, we have a treasure chest. And it's locked. So if this lock goes with the key upstairs, we can't break the key off of the chain. We'll have to bring the chest up to the key. And the secret to doing that is this little valve. We let the water out, then we reseal the valve. Let the water back in, and the chest floats to the top. Aha. Now we have another key, which we use to unlock the lighthouse. And here we have a battery and an old-fashioned crank. Right, full up on power. So let's go over here. Still doesn't light up our submersible lamp. So what does it light up? Oh. Aha, so the default position, or where we had it the first time, that pumps the water out of this hallway, which now is conveniently lit. So let's see what's at the bottom of these stairs. It is a regal bedroom. Predominant color, I would have to say, in addition to wood, is red. Gorgeous red bedspread. Beautiful tapestry here. It's sort of pastoral scene, a fisherman. Everything outside is so dreary and gray, but in here, it's warm, inviting. Looks like the symbol here might be the same symbol that's on the door to the planetarium. Some more art, and this sort of this little family crest image everywhere. My man has a candelabra, has a chandelier over his dresser. And what do we find in the drawers but gold and silver and gems? This room could only be that of Sirrus. Fine china, goblets, candles, candlesticks. You think we could just take one of these candles and light it? And use that to get around in the dark? Unfortunately not. So we have this fine cloth. Fine clothes. And this one is interesting. This black cloth with this crescent moon and cross symbol. It's another example of Myst's environmental storytelling, because we've seen this symbol before. If you remember back to the journal, Atris's journal for the Mechanical Age, when he was describing the black ships, and I have it here, he was talking about their flag, and indeed, the insignia of the black ship is that very same symbol. So Sirrus kept a trophy, it would appear, from their conquest. Empty. And then, of course, in Sirrus's room, we find the red page. Oh. I'm stuck. There we go. All right. Oh, let's check this out. See, again, I'm pretty sure this is the same little symbol. little toy. Malleable energy. Sirrus likes to keep these little toys. There were those glowy gems in his room in the Mechanical Age. The wind-up bird. Incredibly polished desk. And is this is this drugs? This is drugs, right? Sirrus was like doing heroin or something. This is fantasy heroin. You see the pills and the needles, the hypodermics, a knife. Sirrus got some problems. All right, what's this? Little button. Oh. A secret room. With a compass. These are buttons. What do they do? Oh. Well, when I push that one, it makes all the lights go out. Oh. Alright. I gotta be honest with you, that still gives me the creeps. I hate it in first-person games when I can't see. It still, to this day, gives me the creeps. It makes me feel really claustrophobic and anxious. I may have issues. Okay. Well, let's go back to the lighthouse. Turn the power back on. Because, yeah, that whatever we did caused us to short-circuit the power. Okay, got a full load again. Let's head back. Alright. Okay. So, obviously this does something. I know that when I push the wrong button, it knocks out all of the power. So since I don't know which is the right button yet, there's no point in me doing this. This is one of those Myst puzzles you could brute force, but the game will always give you the answer if you are just patient and wait for it. So let's see what's at the other end of this room. Oh, this is another... This is the same passageway. Oh, no. This is the other side. The entrance from the other side of the ship. And, well, the first thing we see when they open the door is a lamp made out of a rib cage. So, not a lot of puzzles as to whose room this is. Oh, Achenar. So, again, we see the trophies of death. It's a rib cage and a spinal cord. Is that human? Some sort of humanoid. More bottles of poisons, antlers. There's the blue page. And, oof, that mattress. Is that... I hope that's water damage. Achenar. Interesting, colorful masks. Human-like appearance. Huh. Charming. From life to death. Well, We see what Achenar's into. Let's see, looks like a... I can't tell if that's a map. Some surveyor's map. That's definitely a map. Of what world? This one? And another map. And another. They're maps of conquest. And oh, we see a note. Torn in half. Something about marker switches. The only place we've seen marker switches is Myst, but half of the note is gone. Island of Myst, maybe. What could this be in reference to? We'll have to keep this in mind. And another map. So Achenar's room, again, a map of violence, or a room of violence, conquest, and death. They really tell you who they are out loud, don't they? Ugh. Alright. So, we need to figure out what to do with the compass. And by process of elimination, since we've figured out the lighthouse, there's nothing else we can see here. We see, ooh, the power's draining. Let's give it some more juice. The power will run out eventually. Okay, the only thing we haven't figured out yet is the telescope. Now, when Achenar used this, he used the telescope in order to see the lights of the people on the horizon. Now, it's daytime for us, so it's not going to be as easy for us to see far-off lights, but maybe if we look hard enough, we'll be able to see a light. You can spin this around. There's part of the boat. And there we go. The blinking light. Now that's the light from the lighthouse. But now that the power's on, it's blinking. This is the light they use to signal the people in the village, or in the people in the far-off villages across the water. And our clue here is that the light is blinking at 135 degrees. 135 degrees is, I believe, southeast on a compass. Perhaps that is our clue. So if we assume this is north, this is southeast, what happens if we push it? Maybe I've gotten the puzzle wrong again. Nope. I was really nervous about that one. We see the submersible lamp. The submersible lamp is lit. Let's head upstairs quickly. Is that the... No, that's the lighthouse. Yeah. That's the boat. And now we can see. We can see this space lit up. An empty table. No, hidden within is our Myst linking book. And that's the Stoneship Age. Let's head back and deliver our red page to Achenar. Or to Sirrus, sorry. It's very easy for me to get these two mixed up. Are you the rich asshole or the psycho asshole?
Have returned. Additional page. Leave from my prison on this forgotten island of Myst. I see that you are. I am called Sirrus. I need all the red pages. I know. Must search and bring 2 more for the red pages. I am released. I promise. Don't touch the blue pages. That is where my brother. For my wicked brother, Achenar. He is a man of distorted mind and senses. He disgusts me. Do not release Achenar. Thirst for destruction is not.
Well, fair enough.
Never ending. Bring the red paper. May you please release me from this prison. I promise you will be greatly rewarded. Must help me. Help
me. So, Achenar is a man of distorted mind and senses with an unending thirst for destruction. Well, that's definitely an evidence, but look, kind of a pot kettle black situation, if you ask me, Sirrus. So we need to go back and grab the blue page. Not a lot of new information from Sirrus in that one, except he's coming a little more clear with every page. He says there's 2 more, which tracks. We know there are 2 more places of protection to open up, which suggests 2 more books and 2 more ages to explore. And that he and Achenar loathe each other. It's interesting, though, that they not only are they stuck in these prisons, but they also know that their brother is stuck in a similar prison. Who put them there? So let's head back. Stoneship. Grab the other blue page. So when you come back here, everything the water and the power levels are reset, but you don't have to re-unlock the doors. You do have to come back here and crank the power again. I do wish there was a... I mean, I understand technologically why they didn't do it, but I wish there was a cleaner way of seeing the power level while you were still turning the crank. Yeah. So yeah, the water levels have all reset. Oh, oops. It's the fastest way to get there, I think. Just come down these stairs and cut through the middle. Grab the blue page with the with mold. Super gross, actually. Oops. Alright, and So once again, we hit the button, activate the lamp, run out of here, and then this button. Nope. Every time I get that mixed up. That button. You know, I was saying last time that if you know the location and solution to the final puzzle of the game, you can beat Myst in about 45 seconds. I looked up on YouTube and found somebody claiming to have set the world record by beating the game in 51 seconds. So I was close. I don't know if that's actually verified by any speedrunning organization as the legit world record, but it's got to be close. Okay. So Sirrus says that Achenar is a bad, bad person, and we should not under any circumstances free him. Free Sirrus instead, and will be rewarded. What is Achenar going to tell us?
Good.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Still more pages you find. Bring more. I must have some more. All I ask of you. Long. It's so long since my brother, Sirrus, wrongfully imprisoned me within this book. Stupid schemes. Pretty speech. Greed, which is endless. It should be perfectly obvious to you. He's done evil and he has destroyed all before. Do not bring the red pages to him. Not let him trick you. He tricked our father. Hideously murdered our father.
Oh.
He'll trick you. He'll murder you. Don't touch the red pages. I beg you to bring the blue pages. To me, listen, you must obey me. Blue pages are my only hope. You must help me. You must help me.
Well, that's a bit of a bombshell. So, we heard Sirrus talk about how Achenar was bad and we shouldn't trust him, but Achenar now claims that Sirrus, not only does he say that Sirrus is responsible for him being trapped in this book, but he claims that Sirrus not only is the traitor, but that he actually murdered their father, Achenar. Sirrus hasn't made that claim. That is new. Now, he did say some things that we can verify with evidence that Sirrus's greed is endless and that he makes pretty speeches. We've seen that. But we've also seen some really chilling things from Achenar, and Sirrus's claim that he was not of sound mind is also in evidence. Still don't know who to trust. Still don't know. We'll have to do more research, and unfortunately, one of them is lying to us. But until we know which one, we will have to continue playing their game. I should note, for those who don't know, that Sirrus and Achenar are portrayed in these FMVs by a pair of real-life brothers, Rand and Robin Miller, who are also the developers of the game. Rand plays Achenar, and Robin plays Sirrus. Rand Miller also portrays Achenar from that message we saw in the viewer at the beginning of the game. He just does he just put glasses on and changed his hair, and deepened his voice. But those are the two. This was 1993. You weren't exactly going to run out and hire a bunch of actors, especially for a game that was made on a budget this very, very low. The brothers did everything themselves. So, we've solved the mystery of the mechanical age in the gears. We solved the mystery of the Stoneship Age in the boats. Let's see. I think next, let us go to space. We're going to take a look at whatever awaits us in that spaceship. This journal from an age that is called the Selenitic Age would indicate that this might be the oldest of the journals. Achenar, when he comes here, describes coming here alone. And he mentions how it is nice to come to a place of silence. So it's possible that the kids are young, or perhaps not yet born. But the interesting thing for him and for us when he comes to this age is that it's uninhabited. There are no people here. But it is also an age of beauty, incredible natural beauty, grassy hills and forests and a big lake. But it is very hot and very windy, and he gets a bad feeling from this place. And sure enough, that night there is a meteor shower. Great rocks fall from the sky, and he has to flee back to Myst. So when he returns, he finds the landscape has been completely reshaped by natural disasters. And only the grassy hill where he arrived for the first time survived, but everything else has just been decimated and barren. And then he finds that cracks have appeared in the earth. And now heat is just pouring out of this crack in the ground. Nothing much happens here. He digs a cave. The earthquakes have opened up this underground tunnel system. Oh yeah, here it is. I check on Sirrus and Achenar, make sure everything is going along well. So yes, I believe the kids are either they're very young or they're older, and it's when they're of the age where they're off exploring ages by themselves. There's a note in the next journal, the age we're going to do after this, where Achenar is starting to let them go to places by themselves. So this may be that, actually. So it may be very old, or it may be one of the newest journals. But as he starts talking about naturally occurring metals, iron and titanium, this world is full of resources that he can use to build his unimaginably complicated engineering projects. And right here, when he starts to get into the details, of course, about things he's going to build, the ink starts fading and then disappearing. We see here there's a compass, and it's kind of rotating. Something to do with cardinal directions. We see what appears to be a satellite or an antenna of some kind. Big dish there. Oh, we see the ship. One of his most prized inventions. Would never have imagined it to come together. I doubt. Yeah, okay, here it is. I have left them alone in Channelwood. So Channelwood, spoilers, is the 4th age we're going to go to. So this is... He was doing this age concurrent with Channelwood, because in the Channelwood journal, he does talk about leaving them there for a time. So I was right about that. So the explanation for the faded sections is that he was harvesting ink from this world, and it's disappeared because of the strange properties of this place. But fortunately, he copied all of his construction notes and the important things in another book. So he doesn't have to worry about it. We don't have that luxury, of course. And then on the last page of the journal, here we have a sketch of a piano keyboard, and some notes are highlighted. So we've got a C is marked at number 1, and then higher C is marked number 2, and then he goes up to an E flat for number 3, and then down to an F for number 4, and then way down to a B flat for number 5. So we haven't seen a piano anywhere on the island. And here's his bird's eye view sketch of the Selenitic Age. Selenitic, I believe, means influenced by the moon. And this is that grassy hill he was talking about. Survived the meteor shower. And that's the end of that journal. Okay. So, we've got the map set. It's on our place of protection. Let's find our access key. See the viewport, our spaceship. Our access key, 59 volts. Well, we know that electricity is a common thread of the puzzles in this game, but only one place on Myst Island have we seen actual electrical regulation, and that was in our little power plant underground. So let's go check that out. Go for here, see the butterflies again. Go downstairs. I feel like it's a technological thing, it's a gameplay thing, that Atris can't build anything that just has a regular door. Like, there are no doorknobs. Every door has to be open with a button so that we can push it to open it. Alright, 59 volts. Right now they both say 28. If we... Oh, that's not what I meant to do. If we turn here, Alright. We see the generator switches. So the one on the left is overall power, and the one on the right is power to the spaceship. So we want 59 volts. And we see our generator switches are labeled 1 through 10. So, we see that powered everything all the way down to 0. So if we turn this one on, they both go up 10, 17, 25, 41, 46. Oh, we went too high, and now the spaceship crashed down to 0. So we gotta start all over. Oh, let's leave. Come back in. So now that we've basically overloaded the spaceship. So we've tripped a breaker somewhere. So if we go back over to the spaceship, we will see on our way there this power line. And in the middle, there's that. I'm pretty sure that's the answer to messing this puzzle up. So this is the one I remember the least well. And I could have looked up the answer, but I wanted an authentic experience. No, I was wrong. Okay. So we're back here. Oh, you know what? I think it's over here. Yeah. It's this one. There we go. Or did I just flip it back? There we go. All right. All right, so obviously different combinations of numbers will give us different voltage. And as long as we keep the power under 59, we're okay. If we go over 59, we'll short the system and we'll have to go flip the breakers to get power back to the spaceship. So that one is 10. That one is 7. That one is 8. 16. 5. 1. 2. 22. 19. And 9. So we've got those numbers. So 10, 7, 8, 16, 5, 1, 2, 22, 19, and 9. We have to come up with a combination of those that will add up to 59 without ever going over. Okay. So pretty quickly, let's start with 22, and then 8. That'll give us 30, and then let's see here. 35? No, because there's not another one that ends in 5, so I'm going to leave that one alone. 46. 7, 49, 59? Yes, that's 59. All right. As you'd imagine, there are multiple solutions to that puzzle, assuming we did it right. And we did. All right. So there are many solutions to that puzzle. As long as the numbers add up to 59 and you don't ever go over at any point, the door will open. Okay, so we've got... Well, the grabby hand shows up, but there's nothing to grab. So we have... What sounds like a very choice MIDI organ sampler. I wrote many pieces in my MIDI class in audio engineering school that sounded just like this. All right. Aha. It wasn't a piano at all. It was a pipe organ. So, we had notes. We had a C, a C, an E flat, no, C, up to an E flat, and then down to an F, and then down to a B flat. So if I play those notes in order, C, C, E flat, F, B flat, nothing happens. So these notes, of course, match the ones on the keyboard. So we need to get these sliders to match the pitch of the notes given to us in the journal. So starting with low C, sounds about right. And then, so the next note is this note, but an octave up. Oh, I think I may have messed that first one up. I do not have perfect pitch, by the way. Okay, and then this one is this. That was way too low. All right, and the next note is there, maybe? Because it's an E flat up. I was right. No, there. There it is. Okay. And then the fourth note drops from here down to here. Yeah. And then finally the B flat. All right, so I think that's our pattern. Let's flip our switch and find out. Nailed it. And there, hidden in the glass, we have our linking book to the Selenitic Age, our matching spaceship, these crystal rock patterns jutting up out of the sea. And there was that antenna we saw, and the grassy hill and the beautiful trees, all that's left from after the destruction of the earthquakes and meteor showers. So we have a matching setup here, but there's no switches. So our return trip is not here. So we have the pipe organ, but it does not work. And now that we're out, the door closes behind us, which is fine. There's nothing in there we need anymore. So this world, this has actually blue water. Beautiful blue water, blue skies shrouded in this mist. And then this is the barren desert type land that was left over after the meteor shower. And the first thing we find is this door. No handle, no button to open. We have this. So we've gone from a pipe organ sampler to a sound effects CD. And well, if the puzzle to get here taught us anything, it was that we're going to have to use these switches to reproduce sound effects in a specific order. But what order could it be? See, this is just a... This is like an alien planet. Off in the distance, that looks like a... We see a bunch of those dishes we saw, those antenna dishes. So the idea with this age that was sort of suggested by Atris's journal is that this age is the explanation for how Atris is able to build all of his things. He basically mines this age for the materials, for the iron and the higher grade metals like titanium, and then all of the crystals he uses for energy focusing and all of those things. Everything he gets from this place. This is sort of his mining colony. So, ooh, that's an intense noise. We see this picture of this crack with steam rising out of it. And if we look over, we can see this hole directly into the crust of the earth and pipes running out of it. This is channeling of the heat that Atris talked about in his journal. Atris, a master of alternative energy sources. Well, that's activated. But if we look, we can see this. Looks like an old-timey radio microphone on an arm positioned above the crack, the chasm, and that is attached to this dish, which is broadcasting to somewhere else, perhaps to here. To what end? To whatever purpose we've now turned it on. We assume that this is part of the sound puzzle that was at this door. And in fact, the sound of that chasm in the earth is one of the sounds. Fascinating. So let's head over here. But the one thing we're not going to find in this age, we're going to find a lot of really cool scenery. and a lot of really interesting noises, and one of the most infamous puzzles in the entire game, of the entire Myst franchise. We are not going to find Sirrus and Achenar. We're not going to find bedrooms filled with Sirrus's exploits and Achenar's trophies. Because, as Atris pointed out in his first paragraph of his journal entry for this place, it's uninhabited. So Sirrus and Achenar don't care. If there aren't people to exploit, or animals, or people, it would appear, to hunt down and kill, the brothers don't care. So this place is untouched by them. So we find the blue page just sitting here on a bench. So this display, we see the water, and indeed, we see this little pool going off the waterfall, and we see yet another microphone connected to yet another dish. So we're activating these microphones so that the sound from these locations can be broadcast to a central location. We don't quite know why yet, but at this point, if you're playing the game, and this isn't the first age you've come to, you kind of get a feel for how Myst does things. So you know that we're basically collecting these noises so that, oh, we went this way already, so that we will be given the combination. The gameplay loop of Myst is to arrive in a place and let the environment teach us what the combination lock key is to get out of it again. And obviously this one's combination is sounds. Here we have a clock. One that looks pretty similar, I think, to the clock on Myst Island. And in fact, I said when we were in the Mechanical Age, Sirrus had a clock model in his room, and I noted that it was the clock on Myst Island. I don't think it actually is. I think it's this clock, which looks similar, but you see it's not finished. And the noise that it's making is sort of repetitious and broken. I think Atris may have been working here and was interrupted. Maybe this is where he was when he came back and discovered that his library had been damaged. And we see again here, because Sirrus and Achenar don't have spaces to hide things in, the red page is just tossed here. So I'll activate this. So this is the sound of the wind whistling through these very strange crystals. Sort of naturally occurring crystal towers that jut up out of the sea. So let's see, we've had the water, we've had the sound of air coming out of the chasm, steam coming out of the chasm, we've had the clock, we've had wind through the rocks, but there were 5 sliders. That sounds like wind coming out of a hole in the ground. What's over here, I wonder? And this is the island in the middle. If we could get back here and turn around, and it won't really let us see from here, unfortunately. But this is the radio tower that we saw in the middle of the island. It's not a good view of it from under here, but all of the various dishes were pointed here. So we have buttons that match all of the sounds that we created. And we've got this turny thing. That's where the clock is. That's where the... Oops. I didn't mean to do that. So did I turn them off? Is that what I did by pushing all the buttons? Oh, there we go. There's the clock. Alright. Just making sure I hadn't messed up somewhere. Alright, let's find the water. Okay. So here's the water. We're set on the clock. Let's find the hole in the ground. There we go. Now we need to find our wind in the crystals. I feel like I've gone in a circle already. I have. Is that not it? I feel like it's blocked by the by the hill there, but that doesn't make any sense. Alright, I may have missed it somewhere. I see some of the crystals there, but that's not quite it. Did I just not go? Oh, yeah, I just didn't go far enough. There we go. Oh, you see here there? All the static is gone. Oh. Ah, alright. So we can get it close enough, but then we gotta find the exact frequency. There we go. Finally, the wind. This one's going to be tricky because the wind sounds an awful lot like static. You know, it's not over here, and it's not over here. And the... Oh. So this one is the wind. So because each one operates on a different frequency, each receiver can only pick up a certain sound, which makes it a little bit easier. All right. So now we've got So we've got the water. And all these, and now we're gonna hit the sum button at the bottom. So it played all the sounds, and it played them in order. After we locked them all, it played crystal, water, wind, earth, clock. So we got crystal, water, wind, earth, clock. And that is our combination in classic Myst form. And surely, this will take us right to our linking book and get us back to the Age of Myst with no further complications. So first we have the crystal sound. Sort of like wind through a glass bottle type noise. And then we have the water. Water. Wind. That's where it is already. Then the earth. And then the clock. Push the button. All right. And we have opened the door. So now we will head down this very nice little staircase. We hear the energy zapping all around us. Atreus used the materials of this place. This was his project. And let's head down here to the linking book? Question mark? This doesn't look like a linking book, Atreus. Oh, what have you done? Well, he built himself a ship. He's built himself an underground. I wouldn't say submarine because it doesn't go under the water. Though I guess it does. I guess it would have to, considering the whole place is flooded. So we can turn any buttons. The only thing we can do now is go forward. And this is what Atreus was referring to when he was talking about his most elaborate, ambitious engineering project yet. As in order to get out of here, we're going to have to drive our way out using this tram, this underground train. And the only thing we can see, the only thing in this place is this little bitty porthole. This is commonly described as a maze. because it is. And this is the most infamous puzzle in this game. Players get stuck in here. The game doesn't do a super great job of teaching you what to do. These controls are confusing. The backtrack button does not do what you think it does. And it can take a while for players to figure out what you're supposed to do. And I will admit, as a child, I did not figure out what I was supposed to do. I brute forced this thing. I just kept at it for hours until I stumbled upon the exit. But there is a solution. The game does try to teach you what to do, and the secret is this red button. When you click it, it plays a noise, and you may have heard it when the ship came to a stop. It played that noise, that little dink. Now, the reason I was saying that there's a optimal order to play these ages in is because this puzzle can be much easier if you've already played the Mechanical Age. Because the Mechanical Age, which is the one, you know, the big rotating fortress, the way that you know which direction the fortress is pointed is that whenever it comes to a stop on one of the cardinal directions, north, south, west, and east, it makes a sound. And when it was pointed north, it made a pink sound. Little dink. So now when it comes to a rest, you see we're pointed north and it makes this noise. So we can turn the ship in any direction. We got northeast, all 8 of the cardinal directions. Right. So we go all the way around in a circle. But the only direction that our path is clear is north. So let's go forward. Now we stopped, we're still pointed north, but now it made another noise. It made a little sproing kind of sci-fi sound. So in the Mechanical Age, that noise indicated west. The sci-fi noise indicated west. So if we turn, we can see west as an option. Or south is an option. But south is the way we came, right? Because we were coming from the north, because we went north last time. So we came from the south. The only new direction we can travel is west. So much like the Mechanical Age where the sci-fi noise meant west, the sounds carry over from that age to this one. So in a sense, the game has already taught you how to solve this maze because the noises match. That's why Achenar used the same noises. In the Mechanical Age, he was just borrowing noises. Or maybe this one borrowed noises from that age. I don't remember which one actually came first. So that is the solution to the maze. You have to listen for the noise when you get to a new place and it tells you where to go. That's a pink again, so that means north. So let's turn to the north, and the path is clear. So as I said, when I was a kid, I didn't figure that out. The whole noise thing, it didn't even occur to me what the noises might mean until I was already halfway through the maze, and I was past this little tutorial section where it tells you what the noises mean. So I just had to drive around aimlessly until I figured it out. Now, we'll come to this stop. And that was the sproing sound that we remember from the Mechanical Age that meant east. So again, because we've already done that age, and I already have the notes in my notebook, this is going to be a lot simpler. Now, if you make a mistake, of course, there's this backtrack button, but the backtrack button doesn't do what most people think it would do. Now, logically, you would think that the backtrack button would pull you back one stop, but it doesn't. It pulls you back to your last correct stop, the last time you were on the correct path, because you can go multiple stops off of the path, or multiple steps off the correct path. So, but again, a lot of people don't understand that, and they end up getting hopelessly lost. I certainly didn't understand it when I was a kid. So that was a sproing sound again, so we'll go east one more time. And that was the pot and pan dunk sound, which in the Mechanical Age meant south. There's one more wrinkle to this puzzle, to this maze, with the sounds, which we'll get to, I think, on this turn. We'll see what happens when we come to a stop. No, not quite yet. So that's south again. Little turn. This turn made me think of it as a like underground roller coaster, like a dark ride. Okay, no, we're still playing it straight. So that's our westward sci-fi noise. That's the other direction. My only problem with this maze, it's clever, right? This maze is clever, and I like that it speaks to the size of this age. Selenitic easily feels like the biggest of the ages because of this underground network of caverns you're driving through. But my problem is once you figured it out, once you realize the noises are just telling you where to go, then you're just going through the motions. Like, it's just busy work at this point. And we're going to have to do it again when we come back for the other page. Like, we've already done it once. We're going to have to do it twice because we want both pages. Which page did I pick up? Did I pick up the blue page? I think I did. Ah, there it was. There was the one other twist. So it played two noises at the same time. It played the Lars Ulrich St. Anger snare drum sort of dunk sound, and it played our sci-fi noise. So it played the south noise and the west noise at the same time, which of course just means southwest. So we're facing south, we need to go southwest, that means we need to turn right. And there we go. So that's the only other little wrinkle of the maze. And now we're basically just doing the busy work of steering through this thing. That's west again. And the other disappointing thing is, unlike the game Seventh Guest, which came out around the same time and also featured a rather infamous first-person maze, there's nothing else to find in this maze. There's just the exit. It's just, oh, I turned the wrong direction. I need to go northwest because it was the pink and the western sound. There's nothing else to find in here. Like this, it's not like if you sort of wander around off the beaten path, you'll stumble upon Easter eggs. There's just nothing. If you go off the path, you'll just get lost. All right, and so that's northeast. So we had our sproing noise and our dink noise. I'm curious, you know, for those of you who have played this game before, and I talked about this last time. How did you notate these sounds? Like I've been saying, sproing and dink and donk. What onomatopoeia did you use in your notes for this particular world? I'm just curious. Oh, that's new. We're at an angle. I believe that means we're getting to the end. Oh, well, not quite. So what was that? That was southeast. There we go. That's the last one. The elation I felt as a child when I realized I'd brute forced my way to the end was... it was satisfying, but it was not a good... It was good, but it was not satisfying. Like, I did not feel like I had won. And now we're... This is where we get off. Let's head on back to Myst Island. Woof. Woof, I say. Selenitic, not most people's favorite age. I like the whole thing with the noises and the... it's probably my favorite of the unlocking puzzles. The one we need to do here on Myst Island, you know, with the thing with the pipe organ and matching the sounds. That's really great. I really like that. But the actual age itself with that awful maze, no thank you. Okay, so this is Achenar's page. So last time, Achenar told us that Sirrus was a murderer. I would like him to elaborate on that, please.
Oh, my friend. Bring in the blue pages. I see. Convinced Sirrus is guilty. Pray, do not release him. He will destroy me just as he did. Innocent bystander. I've been wrongly tricked into imprisonment. You have observed his unbridled lust for riches. In the 4 remaining worlds, some plot. It was almost perfect. Final blow to father. You tricked him into believing that it was I who was the murderer. I didn't murder father. Bring me the remaining. Please. Liar. All in a liar. Must not be free. What? Remaining blue pages from the last age of Myst. I must be free. You must free me. I cannot bear it here for eternity. Free me.
So he elaborates on what he said earlier, that Sirrus is the murderer, and that he knows that Sirrus is trying to convince us that Achenar is the murderer, but we should not believe him because Sirrus is a greedy liar and murderer. And I gotta say, Sirrus is obviously greedy. We know that from what we've seen in the various ages. But a murderer? I mean, he clearly likes to pillage, but Achenar is the one that we've seen has a lust for death. Not Sirrus. But would Sirrus kill to acquire something? Was there something Atris had that Sirrus wanted? I mean, would Sirrus be willing to kill to get something? Would he be willing to kill his own father? That's the question. And you know, I should probably go get the page before I head back. So Sirrus's page was yeah, here's where we can get a good view of it from up here. Here's where we come out on that side. And here's all of the antenna. Sirrus's page was with the crystals, which are over here. There we go. Gotta say, the red page is quite a bit more pink than red. I mean, you see the hand icon is very red. And they are referred to as the red pages. But here's my question. So if Achenar's right, and Sirrus is the guilty one, Sirrus killed Atris, and Achenar knows this. How did he then trick Achenar into getting stuck inside the book? And then why then is Sirrus also stuck in a book? I'm just looking around. I forgot you could come over here and see the other side of the ship. Yeah. I was wondering if you could see down into that hole, but you can't. So yeah, so if Achenar is right, and no one is saying he is at this point, I mean, of course, I know the answer, but if Achenar is right, what is the timeline? So Sirrus kills Achenar, and then somehow forces him into a book? That I can believe. That timeline is fine, but then how does Sirrus end up trapped in a book? There are still too many unanswered questions. And we will see if Sirrus will answer some of them. I'm guessing no. You know, I mentioned before how the newest version of Myst that was just released for VR has an option to randomize puzzles. I'm wondering if this is one of the puzzles you can randomize. If the maze runner is you get a new path through every time. I don't know if that's good or bad, to be honest with you. As I said before, once you figure out what the game is telling you, it's just busy work. Which is why for me this is probably the worst puzzle in the game. I like the setup, I like the idea, but in execution is just completely lacking. Especially because, as we are seeing here, and as I said before, you have to do it twice. You know, if this was like a Dark Souls, a Bloodborne situation, if this was a From Software type arrangement where you get to the end of the thing and then you can pull a lever to open up a shortcut So the second time you come back for the other page, you could just skip right to the end. That would be one thing. I have learned, though, that in more recent versions of the game, I don't know if this is true for the most recent version, but in like the one for iOS and maybe the one for Android, you can pick up 2 pages at once. You can now just grab both pages your first time through the age, and then oh, I'm turning the wrong direction now. You can grab both pages your first time through the age, and you don't have to backtrack. It's west, right? Yeah. But I wanted to play the original experience. Later games will adopt more of an inventory system. It will be less important to carry pages around from place to place. If memory serves, this is the only game where collecting pages is the object. Would I like it more if more of the screen was visible? If it wasn't just that little tiny portal that you were looking through. Maybe. But again, it would still just be busy work. Like this is like if when you went back to the mechanical age the second time, you had to rotate the tower again to get the combination. The last one? Can't remember if northwest is the last direction. No. That's northeast? Okay. I think that's the last one. No, I continue to be wrong. There we go, north. If I just say that every one is the last one, then I'll eventually be right. Yeah. So we are banking here. And that is our indication that this is the final stop. We can get out of the Selenitic Age forever. Oh, no, I was wrong again. Southwest. Nope. Wait, what? Oh, that's a spring. That's southeast. Atreus couldn't have built all of this by himself. I mean, somewhere in the parts of the journal that got erased, he must have described hiring workers from some other age to come help him. Like, there's no way. Go that little... No. There's I mean, there's no way he did that all by himself. Alright. We will deliver the red page to Sirrus. What say you, greedy prick?
With each page I can see more clearly. Soon, free from this horrible prison. This book. You must visit the one remaining age you have not. Comfort that and my brother Achenar is demented. He is guilty. He took advantage of the freedom our father had given us. Achenar began to I ask you again. Do not retreat through pages. He will destroy both myself and you, just as he destroyed the other pages of Myst. Never will escape. You must simply bring the red. The story that I, your wisdom, you will see that I am innocent and he is guilty. This forgotten island long ago. I will owe you my life, and you will be greatly rewarded.
Well, it is certainly in character for Sirrus to appeal to our desire for material rewards, as that is what he would want if he were in our position. So he tells us that Achenar will destroy him and us both if we free him, and that we should bring him the red pages. My only beef here, and I get it, I understand what the game is doing, I wish the stories the brothers told were a little bit different. It is kind of, you know, you have to go through and get both of these pages, and then you bring them back, and the brothers basically just both tell you the exact same story. Achenar is a little more direct about it. He comes right out and calls his brother a murderer. But I wish there was a little bit more depth. So Achenar took advantage of the freedom their father gave, and we're going to learn about that when we read the Channelwood Journal. So there is one age left, one page remaining for us to retrieve, and it is hidden in the only remaining place of protection, and that is where we're going to go next time, when we will explore the final age, Channelwood. We will bring back the final pages, and we will learn which brother is the traitor and murderer. You may have figured it out already. But thank you for watching.